Perfect. I'm really excited for this one. As you can see, I have my Many with Jesse friends here joining me today too.
Yeah, man, it's not creepy at all. Fucking creeper.
And my cat too. My cat's also a big fan.
Yeah, I'll keep the jokes. I'll keep the jokes.
So all right, Jesse. So we're super prepared for this podcast, but I want to ask
we'll
you,
see. We'll see.
is there anything in particular that you want to discuss or something that you have in mind you want to talk other than the questions we have? Because
we'll see.
I'm the man of the hour.
I'll guide you where you need it.
Thank you. All right, perfect.
Oh, okay, so should we just stay silent and
Yes,
guide us? Okay. Yeah, that's all right, man. It's your podcast. You go for it.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
How many Hispanic people were there in Hannah, Wyoming?
Not a ton. I think because I think my mom's side. It's funny because I asked my mom when I was not maybe 20 some years ago. I go, what's our ethnic background? What's our background? And she goes, well, we're Spanish. I go, okay, well, Mexican Spanish or Spain Spanish, because people be lumping Spanish into everything. And she goes, well, I don't know. And I go, what? She goes, I don't know. I go, how do you not know? She goes, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, okay. So I asked one of my other aunts, and she goes, I don't know, Spanish. I'm like, but the Spain Spanish or Mexican Spanish? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, how do you guys not know? So I asked my grandma on my mom's side, and she goes, Spanish. I go, what? Spain Spanish or Mexican Spanish? She goes, I don't know. Why do you want to know? I'm like, I just kind of want to know where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah. I never really got a straight answer out of anybody. And I've, whether 23andMe is accurate or not, like a majority of where my bloodline comes from is from Spain. And I kind of got a straight answer from my mom's dad, my grandpa on my mom's side, that he said he was Spanish. And I go, Spain Spanish, right? Like, and he was a little older too. So I was trying to kind of get a straight answer. And he goes, yes. I go, from Spain, from Europe. He goes, yes. I go, not Mexican. He goes, no. I go, okay. So my mom's side, I have a feeling is from Spain. So having said that, I feel like if there were kind of Latinos from in my small hometown of Hannah, which is probably 800 people, there were some Mexican Americans, but it was mostly kind of like ambiguous, So it's probably Spain, but not a ton. I mean, it was some, but I wouldn't say there were very many.
Okay.
Well, it's good talk. Like thanks for.
Ali, great. That was a good reaction, man.
Because part of my brain is relating it to the Flamin Hot Cheetos movie too, when you see the kids and they're sharing the bean burritos, and everyone else is like, "What is this? What are you eating?"
Yeah.
And then
well, my dad's from Mexico, so like I definitely got all of that. My mom, embraced all of that. So I think my mom's mom and dad, they all ate beans and tortillas and all the things too that you would typically think as Mexican cuisine. So it's very confusing. I don't know, and I feel like there's Native American in there too from some of the cousins. So I don't really know.
Gotcha.
So it's a whole mixture of things.
Yeah.
But in the movie, to be honest, when I was watching it, I really feel like you properly adopted that the Mexican culture, the Mexican side of yourself.
Yeah.
And you could really see it in the way you performed as the character, as Montañez. And to be honest, throughout the movie, I was wishing I was Mexican. Like I was like, bro, I want to be part of that culture.
Well, come, brother, come.
I'll try. If you can help me get a visa, I'm down, man. I'll be there in an instant.
We welcome you. Come.
I'll probably get one of those.
Yeah, some of the food's the same stuff, man. Just a little bit, tiny bit different. Like some of the cuisine doesn't necessarily originate in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff, a lot of it, if you think about it, comes from Africa. So it comes from everywhere. You know what I mean? So come.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
We
welcome you. Yeah,
perfect. Me and Said actually were
Well, I'll accept
Lebanese.
that invite. Yeah.
We have a Lebanese background.
Well,
That's where we met in middle school in Lebanon. Yeah, exactly.
oh,
So,
cool.
pretty much.
I'm sorry,
I do love.
Saeed, right? Just continue your thought.
Continue your thoughts, Said,
On
about
which
being
point?
Mexican.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
was just saying like I'm definitely down to visit the US. I mean, I've got Ali there, and I've got a bunch of our high school friends as well who are sometimes on the podcast. Got to see them. It's been a while. So,
Where are you now?
and plus, I'm currently in London,
Hmm.
and it's interesting because like the Latino community here, whenever I hang out with them, they always try to pinpoint where I am because apparently I'm ethnically ambiguous
Mm-hmm.
for some people. And I've gotten Ecuador, I've gotten Colombia, I've gotten even Argentina, which is kind of confusing because I know they have some German genetics over there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I really apply to that. But it's interesting how to see myself being placed in those locations, especially since I've never been there.
Mm. Well, come.
What
Let's go.
have you ever been mistaken for a different culture?
I mean, yeah, like I've gotten if I'm in Europe, wherever I'm closest to, they think I'm from there. I've done a couple movies in Bulgaria, and everyone thought I was Bulgarian. So, I'm kind of ethnically ambiguous enough too that I can kind of slip
Yeah.
in anywhere.
Isn't that like the best part, especially when as an actor, because then you can just
Yeah,
fit
it's a little
multiple
tricky.
roles.
It's a little tricky these days to kind of like slip into other cultures without it becoming a thing. You know what I mean? If it was like a movie where you were kind of jumping in and out of timelines, and it would have to be done very well if I were to like go into a different gender's body or a different culture or different, an animal or something like that. So you're giving me ideas for it to properly work. But if I were to just jump in and say I'm, Middle Eastern, then it would be it probably wouldn't go so well. You know what I mean?
Leave that for us, man. We need roles, man. We need to be in movies too.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
we also need our own representation.
You're already triggered.
To be honest, I could see you as a Middle Eastern. Like you could pass it, and I'm not the type to get offended by it.
I probably have some in 23andMe. I bet you I have.
Where, or did it just say Arab in general?
Oh, it's a new phone. I wonder if it's gonna let me sign in.
We're gonna get the whole genetic tree line of Jesse Garcia right now, live.
Yeah, this is what you guys. I told you.
This information I don't have access to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It did open
up. This is not public information.
This is not public information right here.
Ali, we got the exclusive. Fuck
yeah, exactly.
I got what do I got? I got South European, which is Spanish and Portuguese. Ashkenazi Jewish, tiny bit. Broadly European, tiny bit. And indigenous American, which is mostly from the Mexico region. So that's mostly what it is.
Perfect. Thank you for your DNA, Jesse.
Get the Arab.
You're welcome.
Now we can clone you and have many more Jessies.
With the data leaks, I'm sure it's already happening.
Jesse, did you have pets growing up? Pets, your dog Guapo?
Yeah, you are a creeper. Yeah, we had dogs and cats, and when I was super young, we had a small kind of little ranch area where we had goats and geese, and I think what else did we have? Sheep,
chickens,
some like probably chickens. Yeah, so
I know
Mexican stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fresh.
All of them disappeared one by one, so they were probably, without knowing it, ended up dinner.
It really depended on what was on the menu, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever studied animals to be for one of your roles, or no? Is that a weird
studied
one?
Animals?
Yeah, exactly.
For one, like the animal kind of people or actors pretend they're an animal, or they embody an animal.
This one, you're upside down right here, I don't know what kind
Oh,
of.
you're
It
so
felt like a
grainy. I don't
bird
even know
energy.
I don't know what picture is that. I hate to take down your altar. I can't tell what that is.
That's PB Herman, man. You're upside down.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I was the a very elusive emerald South American emerald bat.
Did you
Yeah.
take?
Wow.
I think what Ali's
That's
trying to ask is like,
rough
did you
edge.
watch bats in action and just like perform that action over and over, hanging from a
No, man. I'm
tree?
like I didn't really I didn't really have a lot of formal training other than a like couple years of scene study classes. So like a lot of those exercises that a lot of actors did in theater school or some sort of conservatory, I never got those exercises. So no. I mean I've made jokes about
So,
studying animals.
You strike me as someone who's actually studied maybe martial arts. I feel like you've done karate or taekwondo when you were younger or something like that.
I was a wrestler in high school, and then in my
Okay.
throughout my adult life of boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu lately. Just like kind of a mishmash of
Yeah.
different things.
Like the moment, the way you got into that chair
yeah.
when you did this, I was like, oh shit. I was like,
Yeah.
definitely this guy's doing some sort of martial arts.
I'm
Yeah,
also
that's for sure.
a 20 years yogi at the same time.
Okay, that explains also a bit more of the flexibility.
Yeah.
When did you start the yogi part?
Yoga, but 20 years ago.
Yes,
I've been
sorry.
doing- I'm a certified teacher as well. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm a
Nice.
teacher.
And why? So why did you stop teaching?
I got busy. I wanted to teach because I wanted to kind of like embellish on the philosophies of teaching where I disagreed and how I wanted to do stuff differently, and I got to do a little bit of that, but I ended up getting busy with work and it kind of took over.
Okay. I mean, it's also like that's a very cool aspect to have. Like you want to teach people also these things that these abilities that you're learning.
Yeah, and just different perspective. That's why I think why teachers of all kind of like throughout any aspect of life, like whatever teacher you go to, whether it's acting or welding or yoga or whatever it is, like you're learning a perspective. You're not learning necessarily a whole, like you're learning something, their perspective of whatever's already existing, right? And there are different hybrids and people doing things a different way, but it's still based on a foundation of something that already exists. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever voice that you vibe with and frequency that you agree with, that's kind of like how I think you find your teachers.
So what was the voice that you vibed with
in teaching? Like my voice, or the voices that I like?
No, the voice that you like.
Oh, it just varies. I'm have a little bit of a problem with authority and kind of rigidity of tradition. Okay. So I color outside the lines, and I kind of like make up my own rules as I go too. So like I like rule breakers. I like rebels, and I like doing things different ways.
Thank you.
And if people who do that discover new things and kind of like
100%
innovation. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
And especially in the world of film, I mean, the coolest films are always the ones that have a unique voice, something new, something that's never been done before. I feel like that's a through line for you in a lot of your movies. I want to ask you about Quinceañero. This guy right here.
Yeah, so, that young buck.
Wow.
Yeah, man. 27 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Look at that guy.
Your facial hair is still the same.
Basically, I still can't grow any. This is it. Yeah, this is a filter right now.
Jesse, you're from Wyoming. How did you learn about LA? I mean, I feel like a lot of your films are very LA centric, from Flamin Hot to all of them, honestly. So many of them are very specific to LA. So how do you learn the dialect, the culture? How did you become LA?
Well, I think it's hard to not be influenced by LA culture, right? No matter where you're from. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world, and LA culture is kind of like present. Yeah, get that back up there. Felt a little blank back there. Um, so growing up, I always loved rap, and I loved like urban centric movies, and so I kind of uh, was always attracted to the music, the lifestyle. Um, and I moved to LA 20 years ago. Um, but I'd always had a kind of like there was some sort of magnetic pull for me to be in LA. I don't know what it was. I visited the first time when I think I was 17 or 18 with a friend of mine in high school. I went with his family to, I think, Rancho Cucamonga, but we came into LA, and like as soon as we got here, I'm like, whoa, something vibes here. I'm supposed to be here. And I didn't move here for another 3 years after that, for 3 or 4 years. But I don't know. Like I guess I'm decent with accents. I'm decent with kind of like just figuring out that side of myself. And maybe in my past lives, I was kind of like part of LA culture. You know what I mean? So maybe like the parallel lives and the parallel universes. You know, I exist in that world. You know, I don't know. I just kind of it just feels like home, I guess.
It's interesting that you mentioned your past lives, because I remember I was discussing this with Ali a couple of days ago, and he was asking me, he's like, "What do you know about past lives?" So and in my thought process, it's kind of reliving memories that aren't yours. So I kind of want to see, like, I want to ask you, which memories do you feel like you've connected the most with from your past lives?
Give me an example.
So you know the thought process of deja vu, where they say it's either a coincidence,
Mm-hmm.
but then others would say it's actually you going through an experience that you've possibly you're reliving at the moment from a previous life.
Mm-hmm.
So deja vu is kind of like maybe the best example I can give.
Mm-hmm. I've also kind of like thought of deja vu as you're on the right path. Like it's like you're hitting a checkpoint. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because I've had deja vu where I know everything that's going to happen in real time. Like I know this person across the street's going to cough
Wow.
while this car is over here, and there's going to be like a dog barking over there, and someone's
Mm-hmm.
talking to me at the same time, and I know what they're going to say. So it's like I've
Yeah.
had these deja vu moments, which are pretty fun. Um, I feel like the past life stuff works with me. Like I asked the question too, so what like who do you feel like you were, right? And I heard a different theory recently that our past lives are actually all happening at right simultaneously. They're just happening in parallel timelines, right? So like when we feel something similar, a deja vu or something that's happening, it's actually our timelines touching or crossing, right? Trying to,
Mm.
but they're all happening at the same time,
Yeah.
which is an interesting theory. But I've always felt like the like healing, like the touch tinctures, figuring out the mind, the body, figuring out different ways to kind of like heal ourselves holistically, through physical manipulation or through mental
Mm-hmm.
manipulation or through spiritual manipulation, tinctures. Um, I feel like there must have been a healer aspect to me at some point in one of my lives, or there was a warrior, or there was an architect or an engineer because I like to build things. It's not a
Yeah.
lot of these things I really didn't study a ton, but I kind of they come semi easily to me. Like some are more easy than others. And I must have been an entertainer or something in a past life as well, because I felt like this. I never wanted, like growing up. It wasn't like I want to be an actor. That's not how I grew up. It wasn't. I didn't feel like that was what I strived to be. It was like I'm from Wyoming, so the programming there is get a well-paying blue-collar job, work for somebody, maybe start your own business, and survive and get a cool car, maybe a boat, have some kids, do which is a great life, right? But I always
Yeah.
felt like that wasn't for me. And, through a friend, I decided to start acting. And things, there's been a ton of challenges, and there still is. But my life has happened through a pretty fantastic series of events as far as the acting stuff and entertainment business. So I feel like there's something's guiding me. Either it's the universe or the programming or the matrix or whatever it is guiding me to this. Even, and there's still a part of me that feels like acting isn't this. This isn't
Yeah.
the only thing. This is I've always said that acting is my career. It's not my life. Right. So
Okay.
and a lot of people say acting is their life, and I go, well, that's there's more to it than that. There's how do you bring life to your work if you don't have life outside of work?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
true.
100%.
and I'm not having said that, I love traveling and I love being around different people and learning a bunch of different things too, but I'm also kind of a homebody. You know what I mean? I'll get home. I'll be a homebody real quick. Like I'll build my oasis and my sanctuary, and I'm kind of like, cool. I'm okay right here.
Yeah.
I'll invite people over. I don't necessarily need to go out there getting in trouble. I lost my train of thought, but anyway.
Perfect. Well, I want to ask.
What it sounds like is
Go,
that
Syed.
you just want some balance.
Yeah,
You want to be an extrovert,
For
and at
sure.
the same time, you also want to be an introvert. Really depends on
yeah. I
how
would
you're
love to be an
feeling throughout the day.
extrovert. I don't always enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy the people that I'm around and enjoy making quality connections and learning new things about the people that I already have in my life. And not that to say that I'm not welcoming new people, because I enjoy getting to know new people as well. That's how you learn and grow. But I also feel like part of that, the journey part of that is, like I was saying earlier, is that acting isn't it. I feel like there's going to be directing. There's going to be doing probably other philanthropic
Philanthropy.
things.
That's cool.
Charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not necessarily charities. I don't feel like it's charity. I feel like there's kind of almost a negative connotation to charity. I feel like it's, sharing my time,
Mhm.
and resources to help other people grow and be better lives. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's other things. And acting isn't the only thing. I feel like it's a big part of it that's allowing me to do a lot of other things, and I enjoy it. But I feel like there's other stuff too.
That sounds great, man. It's like I can see the balance there. Ali, I'm guessing you still have some more creepy questions.
Too many, honestly. But
Too
I want to. All right, let's talk about. I want to know about the missing movie, Days of Wrath. Whatever happened to that film?
Yeah, man, I'd like to know
Can you
about
tell us
that
a
movie
story
too.
about it?
Yeah, did you guys watch the trailer?
Man, yeah, it's the
I
biggest,
personally did
coolest
not.
film that never came out.
Yeah, that's where I met one of my best friends, Wilmer Valderrama. Uh, it just We shot this really big movie for at the time. It's a little indie movie, and I'm sure there's a lot of politics behind the scenes that I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have theories, but it just never came out. And a friend of mine actually, it came across his desk for possible sales to come back out, and I think it would do well. I think it would still do well now. It would be
Still,
a period
why
movie because
not?
it's like we shot it in 2007, I want to say. And I think it would still do well.
Of
It would
course.
be dated a little bit, but I think it would almost be a period piece at this point. You know what I mean?
I mean, even like
I would
like the Superman movie, right? The Zack Snyder, whatever movies, he brought it back, and redid it and made it different and brought it back and it had new life and made new sales and
yeah,
and
I
that's like
think
a
I would
top
still
tier
love for that
level.
movie. I would love for that
Yeah,
movie to come out. I would
me
really
too.
love for that movie to come out.
We'll start a
Just put
petition.
it. Just yeah. Please start that. Please start that
Start
position. I
petition.
would love to see that movie out there.
Or maybe at a
Perfect.
certain point, you just buy the rights to the movie and put it out there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I wish I could. I mean, it's a thought. I would love to buy. I would love to buy that movie, but it was also a pretty expensive movie, and I'm still.
Ah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
the price tag is a bit too high there.
yeah.
Jesse, can I ask you about your influences in terms of acting and filmmaking? With growing up, especially in your growing up period when you're like super young, before you even knew you wanted to be an actor.
I, you know, it's funny because before I even started acting, and I didn't really realize how important it was as a kid, but I would watch movies like La Bamba or
Mm-hmm.
El Mariachi, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really speak
Wow.
very good Spanish when I was a kid. So when I saw El Mariachi, I'm like, why am I so captivated by this movie? Robert Rodriguez is El Mariachi. I'm like, why? And I
Of
actually
course.
recorded it. I think probably it was on HBO or something like that, and I'm on VHS, and I recorded it and I watched it a bunch of times. I'm like, why am I so captivated by it? And it's like there's I think the subconscious realization that you see your face on camera, even though it's not your face, right? You feel represented. There's a story there, and even though there was a disconnect from me and the Mexican American culture, because I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in such a small town and we didn't really follow traditional Mexican American traditions. Um, I still felt connected in a way, right? And I still loved uh, La Bamba, and I loved a lot of the other movies that came out at that time. And I didn't, but I also remember watching kind of like Ghostbusters or Gremlins and Back to the Future and like all these other really
Mm-hmm.
cool, iconic Star
Epic.
Wars,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, epic
Amazing
movies.
choices, to be honest.
Yeah, and like Robert Rodriguez has always been an inspiration of mine, right?
Of
So
course.
I'm looking to direct, and he's always, just kind of like following his philosophy of, you don't need a ton of money, just shoot something, right? Everyone
Mm-hmm.
now, like part of my advice to everybody is like all the young actors and filmmakers, how do I start? I'm like, well, you have a phone? And they go, yeah. I go,
I do
that's
right here.
start shooting something. Like, write something, right? It
100%.
doesn't have to be, doesn't even have, don't expect it to be amazing. Just write and shoot something and learn. And there's DaVinci Resolve is free. Start learning how to edit, and once you start running out of things to do, go shoot something else. You know what I mean? Um, so there's a ton of like unconscious uh, influences. I'd have to think back for some more, but even like my dad would watch a lot of Spanish movies, and he would watch a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like Vicente Fernandez and all these guys, and even though I wasn't really wasn't my thing, I would still absorb that and take that in. And then there was wrestling, professional wrestling, and I was always kind of like, that's entertainment, right? And that's an
Mm-hmm.
influence to some degree. It has to have
Heck
like the
yeah, man.
storytelling of it. And then my mom would watch soap operas, so there was like the drama of that, the storytelling of that, and so many cartoons and animation and Pee Wee Herman. I got to work with Pee Wee
Mm-hmm.
Herman, like Paul
Wow.
Rubens.
Isn't that
So like
insane?
I would watch Pee Wee Herman show, not really realizing that 20 years, 25 years later that I would be working with him, which is a surreal thing in its own.
Jesse, can I pause you and ask you about like manifestation a bit too? Because you've described many things. You talked about epic movies. You end up being in the Avengers, the most
Mm-hmm.
iconic scene of the Avengers, which is one of the most, if not the most epic movie, defining movie of the past how many decades. How cool. And you talked about melodramas, and you've been in many dramatic films with important messages. And then you've talked about Pee Wee Herman doing comedies, and there you are doing Pee Wee Herman action films too. I mean, you know, did
Yeah.
you do you have like a vision of these things, or did it just happen?
I mean, I think yes and no. I think the things that we kind of it's funny because in a small town and like I think we have as I feel like you guys are a little bit younger than me, but
Mm-hmm.
my generation was kind of like Generation X, right? The Xennials, whatever we're called. I'm in that little small gap of years between generations where we uh, knew what it was like to be able to go across town and play with our friends, but we were there for the genesis of the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where we went from encyclopedias to Google, You know what I mean? So we had the advancement was we saw it all. We knew how to do we know how to dial a rotary phone. Um, we don't know what a landline is. So being able to like all these things that kind of like came to fruition. Like I feel like a lot of these things were manifestations, but we're also like we didn't have, my generation didn't really have the tools from our parents necessarily to nurture our artistic side. And I feel like my sister and I both have like artistic sides, but we were never really. That's not what we were nurtured to do. The programming is to, you know, do whatever they say in school, which, you know, it has its own thing. It's its own. That's its own conversation. But to also like learn a trade or something so that we can survive, not thrive, right? And art
Yeah.
just doesn't necessarily have a bigger place in it in that. So we weren't nurtured in that way. So I wasn't nurtured in that way. And even though there was a part of me that wanted to be a weirdo, and I've always been a little bit of an outsider, and express art and maybe take singing, maybe take dance and stuff like that, which we didn't have any money when we were growing up. So I understand some of that. Uh, so I didn't have a lot of nurturing in that way until I kind of like got out on my own and started exploring and figuring like, oh, this, I like the artistic side. Even one of my, I'm jumping around a lot, but one of the regrets, I don't really have not really regret, but things I wish I would have done in college. And I tell a lot of, you know, young people who are going to go to college, if they choose to go to college, is like, just take the classes you want to take. Don't take the classes you think you have to take, because you've already kind of like, you're 18 is a terrible time to say what you want to be for the rest of your life. You haven't lived. You've probably a majority of people have lived under the roof of their parents, right, or their guardians, and under the influence of people who telling them what to do on a daily basis. You have no idea what you want to do because so many people have influenced that. I wish I would have taken all the art classes that I wanted to take: photography, pottery, you know, maybe theater. Like, 'cause I wanted to do plays, I just didn't have time. I had an athletic scholarship. Um, so I didn't really started nurturing all these things that I'm doing now until my 20s, right? Till my early 20s, where I actually got out on my
Yeah.
own and started exploring some of the bigger cities, which I always wanted to be in. Um, you know, like, and yeah, to manage like some sort of manifestation of me being able to work with all the people that I admired, either as a fan, not without being in the business, and to being like admiring people in the business when I'm in the business or starting out in the business. I'm like, oh man, I would love to work with Jennifer Lopez, or I would, you know, Robert Rodriguez is amazing. I would love to work with Robert, and, you know, to be on a huge movie like The Avengers. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of these things. I'm like, oh, now I'm doing that now. And I'm like, and not without a ton of work, but there's also some kind of like believing in myself and kind of like working toward a goal, not having a plan B.
And there's definitely a certain level of confidence needed to be able to pursue these opportunities. And so you've mentioned earlier that once, okay, so you said that when you're 18, obviously you're being directed by your parents and stuff, and I agree with that, because that's, as Arabs ourselves, we've kind of been in those same shoes. But I want to go back to the point where you said you kind of you saw the signs that were showing you the right path. So, for example, like when you said deja vu is kind of showing you, like giving you a checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of understand, like, how do you recognize these signs? And they're basically signs of opportunities, basically what you can do, where you should go. So, how do you recognize these signs? What is the level of awareness that you need? And yeah, how how do you become better at recognizing these signs?
Well, I mean, the deja vu is kind of the obvious one, right? Like, if you're going through a moment of deja vu,
Yeah.
um, it's mystical. It's like what it's a phenomenon, right? Like of you seeing like me being able to know everything that's going to happen within a 5 or 6 second period of time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and but I don't fight it. I accept it. I'm like, all right, this is a checkpoint. I'm okay. This is where I'm supposed to be going, whether I'm in a terrible slump or if I'm winning, right? Either way, I'm still winning. There's something going on. I'm certainly learning from something.
Yeah.
Um, I think people dismiss a lot of those things as like, oh, that was weird. You know what I mean? And keep going on with their day instead of processing it and allowing that moment to sink in and kind of like be aware of what you're going through. Um, but and there's a lot of things that throughout the years that kind of helped me with that, where um, I've learned to be comfortable with being myself. And one of the early lessons when I started auditioning, uh, is I discovered. So what happens in an audition is you get a character breakdown, right? So for people who
Yeah.
don't know, you get a character breakdown from your manager, agent, or whoever you're online or something like that. It says Barry, 30s, cop, something, right? Like has this kind of life and these kind of things, and it could say like a Ewan McGregor type, right? That's
Yeah.
the character breakdown. I see all that and I go, okay, that's what's in their head. I don't care about any of that stuff. I I learned early on that I'm not going to um, give them the performance that I think they want, because they're already judging me, any other person, whether it's a job in, washing dishes. They're judging you the second they see you, right? They know almost yes or no the second they see you. So I'm going to do the performance, the version, how I enjoy doing it, how I think my interpretation of this character is going to be, because they like you or they don't. You know what I mean? You may get the job, you may not, but at least I felt good about what I did. I walk out of the room going like, I gave the performance, I gave the version, I gave the take on it the way that I wanted to give it,
And
right?
you
So I
didn't lie
feel
to
good
yourself.
about what I did, and instead of
Yeah.
me going in there going like, I don't think I gave them the version that they wanted the person to be, I'm like, no, I'm comfortable with who I am now. I'm comfortable, like, I'm going to do the weird version of that. And if they like it, they don't. If they like it, they cool, they do. If they may give me, they go, oh, so maybe they like some of what I did because it's a completely different take and I'm doing something original, or I'm doing something authentic to me. They'll give me some adjustments. I may get it, I may not. Or I may stick in their memory and they go, oh, he's not right for this part, but maybe this other movie or maybe this other project or maybe this other part for the same show.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer for that.
No, but you highlight an important point, which is being comfortable with yourself. And in this day and age, everyone is always trying to find a way to kind of fit in,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not naturally being themselves.
Yeah.
So, what kind of advice would you share with people so that they can be more comfortable in their own skin, enjoy their own personality, so that they can show their true form?
I mean, I think we mold ourselves to what we think society or our peers or other people want us to be, right? Everyone has a character they play.
Yeah.
They have a character that they play at work. They have a character that they play at home, and a lot of times, even sometimes around the friends, but the friends are often the people that know who you are most intimately.
Wow, we're all actors.
Yeah, we all have a face. We all have a voice. We have a different voice for when we answer the phone, when we talk to our parents, we talk to our loved ones, we
I
talk to
can
our
definitely attest
friends.
for that to Ali. I've heard Ali's white man voice on the phone.
Hi there. Yeah, okay, I'll take your call. I'll be right back. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's just kind of figuring out who you are, you know what I mean? Like, and just being okay with it, and knowing that, um, when you're true to your authentic self, it's going to be self-filtering, right? People are going to filter in and out. Some people are going to love you, some people aren't. Some gonna people
Mm-hmm.
are and you should be okay with it, because not everyone's meant to be in your life forever.
For sure.
It's
But
just not gonna
nothing's
happen. Even your
perfect
best
either.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, it's like with movies and such too, you know, I think reviews can be pretty hard and that can bring people's self-esteem down and stuff. But
I don't. I
like,
don't.
even
I
like
don't.
a great film like The Avengers, you know, which tons of people like admire so much as their favorite film, there's going to be a few people who are like, I don't like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so you really just have to be yourself and embrace it. You're going to get both the positive and the negative.
Look, man,
There's no winning.
you can't please everybody all the time. I don't read
Mm-hmm.
reviews, the good ones, the bad ones. I don't want to see it. I don't care. It's out. Whatever I did is out. It's out in the world. I have zero control of what other people think. I may trigger them for whatever personal reason that they have. I may make them super super happy, which I'm always grateful for. Even the people who don't like my performances, I'm like, you got something out of it. You learned something you don't like, and that's okay.
There.
But I don't, and it is tough not to take some of it personally. Um, but it's also like you're not gonna, you can't please everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that also the negative reviews are usually just people that are possibly projecting a certain element of their own lives in their
Sure,
comments?
sure, yeah. We're all mirrors for each other.
There you go.
That's a quote right there.
Heck yeah,
Jesse, I
man.
want to know about your motivation. So I know you've been through a lot of wins, you know, and you've also had films that have been scrapped, like we just talked about,
I have
TV
a
shows that
few
got
actually that I would
canceled.
love to see out. There's another one I would like to buy too, and kind of get out there in the world, or at least try to figure out how to fund it and finish it. And
Isn't
yeah.
that insane? And you've been, you know, on the top of the world, and then also you've been couch surfing too, and it's
Mm.
and now you're hitting another wave of success too. How do you take it? And how do you, because you even mentioned that you didn't grow up with art being that important in your family and your values and such. So how did you make it the most important thing in your life if you know you're willing to fight for it so much? What's your
Um,
motivation? This is deep. Right.
you know, I don't. Um,
Spicy Cheetos.
it's it's funny because what's that?
I
Hot
was saying hot
Cheetos.
Cheetos.
Hot Cheetos, yeah. Um, it's funny because I'll try to answer it in a couple different ways. Is I um when I decided in the summer of 2000 that I was going to drop a full ride scholarship to the University of Nebraska to move to Atlanta with my friend to study acting. Um, that was it was just that. I'm like, all right, cool, let's try this. Let's see what happens. And also go, there's no plan B. Like I don't plan on failing. This is not failing is not going to happen. I'm going to go for it. It's going to be fun. Let's see what happens. But I also didn't realize, that there's the politics of it, and like the struggles of an actor, and so many different things. And I didn't go into it with any kind of knowledge of representation, or
Mm-hmm.
like conscious representation, right? The subconscious stuff was definitely there. But I didn't realize when you do movies that are successful, or that are like have some sort of social relevancy, some sort of message that touches a lot of people, like Quinceañera, um, where I played this gay kid from Echo Park.
Mm-hmm.
And my purpose of that role, the way I did, is like I didn't want to play it stereotypical. I didn't want the accent to be super thick for like the stereotypical effeminate lispy gay accent. I didn't want to be the same thing for like the stereotypical LA accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
wanted something that is like just kind of like just right. But I also didn't realize that when you do a movie like that when it gets seen by a lot of people, you do have a responsibility to have a voice, whether you want to or not, right? And whether I want to be a voice um, for that movie or any other, I'm definitely a voice for the Latino community now, right? Um, and it's not something I thought was necessarily on the front of my mind when I started, because I didn't really know anything about it, and being an activist in the Latino community wasn't um, something I sought. So being being able to hold a conversation and have an opinion, and being able to listen to and learn and understand other people's sensitivities and understand other people's stories. When Quinceañera came out, this is when MySpace was still happening, right? That was on the cusp of MySpace to Facebook. I would get messages on MySpace all the time, and one message in particular is like this kid, young kid, Latino kid from LA, I want to say, somewhere. He messaged me and he goes, "All right, man, I just got done watching Quinceañera. It was so good, you know." And he goes, "You know, before I watched this movie, I didn't know if I was going to make it, but because I watched it, I saw that I wasn't alone." And I'm like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like this, like art means something.
Right.
And it's not, and it means something to a lot of people, even if it's a fun, silly movie. You know what I mean? Like I have a movie coming out next year called Alexander and a Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Road
That's
Trip.
amazing.
Yeah, that it's a fun family film. It's going to mean something to somebody. You know what I mean? Whether it brings them
100%.
joy or shows them the struggles and the hardships of their own families and being able to communicate with each other, it means something to somebody. And even the bad movies mean something to somebody. Somebody's getting something out of it. You know what I mean? So art is important, and it is. I think it's a message board, and it's yeah, no, it's important.
Jesse, if you don't mind me saying, I got really inspired by your movie Hot Cheetos.
Oh, thanks, man.
Flaming Hot. I mean, it's so cool to see someone who started from nothing, rise to the top, and just by pure passion and wit and fighting against the odds. It's
Thank
incredible.
you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I love it, and I want to see you do more stuff like that. I've heard you always say you wanted to direct your own film. What are we waiting for? I mean, you have your unique voice, you have your unique point of view. There's so much going on. You can do cool characters and actors and roles and write your own script, and you're a filmmaker. Like Robert Rodriguez, you can just bootstrap it. And you've worked on microfilms. You've worked on so many cool indie films. No matter what scale, I really would love to see a film in your own voice.
Yeah, I'm writing a couple things. I'm developing a couple things. There's a TV show that I'm working on, that we're getting close to something. But I got a couple movie ideas that I'm working on as well. So there's some stuff in the pipeline, and I'm fortunate I have some money people and some investors that are interested in working with me too. So I'm still taking meetings. I'm still reading other people's scripts. So it's coming. It's coming.
Perfect. We in the world we have so much content out there, and a lot of it's so negative and toxic and brings people down and makes people fight each other. And it's so rare that you have a cool film art project, like many of your films, especially Flamin Hot, that brings people all around the world together and gives them a positive message that they can, if they work hard enough, if they take enough responsibility, they can change their own lives and make their own destiny. And a world full of villains, it's so cool to see an actual hero, like a good person, a good story that's heartwarming. So yeah, I hope you continue on that
Yeah,
path.
man. I think Richard's story it's special, man. I think he the thing that Eva likes to say, he's I'm gonna mess it up. Something like that. He's the smartest uneducated man. Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is.
That's really cool.
But sure. He's a testament to deprogramming, right? The things that are put in front of him. He grew up with very little actual formal education. He learned in the streets. He did what he could, but he's also very, very smart. And he knew how to talk to the people. And there's a lot of stories like that. I mean, from same thing with me, you know, I came up from not much, and my parents came up from not much, and you know, everyone's doing their best to do what they can, and you know, I'm one small cog in the machine, and a machine that just keeps moving along. So if I, you know, I don't mind being a voice for to keep moving and bring other people up at the same time. And that's always kind of been my purpose is getting to a spot where I can open doors and provide opportunities for other people who, you know, want to do something.
For sure, and you've inspired me. And Saeed, we're gonna ask some rapid fire questions because we're gonna have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Emergency.
All right.
Artificial intelligence. What's your take on it in filmmaking?
It has its place, but it needs to be regulated.
All right. Spanish accents. How do you learn different kind of Spanish accents? You know, we always thought that there was just Spanish, but now we're learning more that there's all kinds of different.
There's different regions. Yeah, I guess
Sure.
There's different inflections and stuff like that. I mean, luckily I've I guess I have the kind of like default one that I always go to, but if it depends, like when I did The Mother, the dude was Cuban, so where is he at?
You want to get in the van with this guy, Saeed?
Hey, look at that guy! Look at that guy right there.
Is it a white van or a different color?
It's a party. It's a party balloon van.
Oh, okay, no, that's all right. Yeah. That's that's fine. That's fine.
We're there to party, man. Yeah, I had a dialect coach on that one to try to make sure I got that right. Yeah, I just asked. I make sure I ask my friends if I make sure I'm getting it right, because Latinos especially we're the hardest on each other. Like, yeah, bro, that Colombian accent was terrible. Right. So, but I did okay. I got approval from all my Cuban friends.
I think us as Lebanese, our accent gets shat on the most by other Arabs. I mean, because it's like the most
similar.
It's the softest one. Like but at the same time, it's the easiest to understand. So I think we have the benefit of the doubt. Plus, they always tell us is like it sounds like poetry. So we'll take that. You know.
I'll take it. I want to know, Jesse, out of all your own films, which one do you like to watch the most, if any?
I don't really watch my own movies. I mean, a bunch of them are good for different reasons. I mean, Flamin Hot, obviously, it's a great movie.
For sure.
The screening at South by Southwest was pretty special. Like we all knew that it was a good movie because I'd seen it probably the summer prior, because Eva made me watch it with the cast, and I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to be in the room. I never wanted to watch it, but she made me sit down and watch it. And I go, I can't miss the South by Southwest screening. There was 1,200 people in the audience, and wow. It was very interactive. Everybody laughed, everybody cried, everybody gasped, everybody like was angry and mad and sad and all at the same time. And it was a very, very special screening. But Quinceañeras, like, it's a beautiful movie too. You know, I've been very fortunate to work on a lot of really cool stuff.
Amazing. I want to ask you really quick, rapid fire, about rehearsals and acting style. What's your acting style? Do you like to rehearse? Which films have you rehearsed on the most before shooting?
Flamin Hot, we rehearsed a lot before we started shooting. I mean, when new actors would come into town, we would I very rarely had a day off on that movie. Even on our days off, we would go and rehearse. Right, we would go and grab some food and go to Eva's house, and when the new actors would come in, we would run the lines and kind of like make sure that we were ready to go on the days that we were shooting, because we shot so fast. We shot like a TV show. And the difference between shooting like a bigger budget movie, because we had a lot of scenes that we wanted to shoot, not very many scenes got cut. There's a few scenes that got cut, but not very many scenes got cut. And we shot a lot of stuff under budget, under time. And that was a testament to Eva and her production team, how fast we shot. But it's also a testament to the actors who were ready. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, this is not going to be one of those ones where doing 1 scene, 2 scenes a day. We're doing 10 scenes, 12 scenes, 15 scenes a day.
Oh wow.
On a normal, not like 12-hour day. So we were going, and some of these were big, really big scenes. So there's part of me that I don't like to necessarily. Oh, no, that's not true. I do. I like rehearsals. I like doing. I like figuring it out. But I also like kind of being spontaneous, like being free to be able to make different choices on the day too. You know what I mean? So like, if someone
A bit of
wants to
spontaneity.
rehearse, if someone wants to rehearse, I'm happy to rehearse. If someone just wants to run lines, I'm happy to run lines. Um, it just depends. Depends on the project. Rehearsing's always good.
All right, Jesse, super rapid fire. I'm going to ask you my last 3 questions
Sure,
all
buddy.
at once.
Sure.
All right. So, which role did you have to like get in shape for the most? You know, losing weight and such. Did you really hurt your knee in The Mother? And then also, any advice on playing dead?
I probably lost 20 pounds to play Richard because I was at the end of COVID.
What?
Or restart, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, and I was still a little chubby there from COVID. Yeah, but I was also jacked too. I was all leaned out and jacked. Did you just call me fat, bro?
I think we're just mirroring what you said. So
yeah, no, I was still coming on the end of COVID. Quinceañera, I was a lot younger at the time, and I lost a little bit of weight and stayed in good shape for that. I did hurt my knee. I blew out my meniscus training for the running scenes for The Mother. So I was doing all those running scenes on a blown meniscus, freshly blown meniscus, which was tough. It was a lot of pain every day. And it was like almost 2 weeks of running. Like all those scenes that end up being like a 4-minute scene, it took us 2 weeks to shoot.
Wow.
And what was the other question?
And playing dead.
Oh, playing dead. If you think about it, playing dead, you only really need a few seconds of screen time to kind of like sell it. So if you can kind of hold your breath or be very, very calm, or know that if you're going to do your eyes open, just to kind of like keep your eyes really still for, you only need a few seconds, 4 or 5 seconds, just enough on either side. And control your breath. You know what I mean? It just varies. A lot of times they show the death and they'll do 1 second on the body and that's it. But if they're doing like a big close up like they did on me for The Mother, you just gotta, be still.
All right, Saeed, we did it, man.
We did it. Lots of ways to die. I've died many times.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. We made it on the time. Perfect timing. There we go, Jillian. Excellent. We did it. Saeed, what do you think?
Very cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's done. All right.
Yes. Yeah, we did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, guys. Thank you for watching this episode with Jesse Garcia. Jesse, thank you so much for coming on. Jillian, good to have you in the background. I know we didn't talk to you, but that's fine. This is how we sign out. Salute to cover the camera, and peace.
Ooh, and we're out of here. Excellent. Perfect. Thanks, Jesse.